Hello everyone, this is Aya from Hinawi Software. Our topic for today is really important because it's used in any workplace, in any type of business. So basically, as you can see here, I have the roadmap for the HRMS activities opened in front of me. It contains different actions, workflows, processes regarding each and every activity. I have covered an entire video regarding the general idea of the activities in the HRMS roadmap. But then I made separate individual videos regarding each and every topic. And today's topic is regarding both the expenses form and the benefits form. The main difference among those two and the main process and procedures which will take place when you actually start using Hinawi software. So whether you are a user, an admin, a prospective, a client, a stockholders, all these type of individuals would benefit from the topic which I will be covering for today. So let's start first of all with creating an activity. As you can see here, I'll cover first entirely the expenses, and then I will cover the benefits. So I will cover these two along with all these categories you see here in front of us on the screen, and I will then talk about the main differences among those two. So let me highlight this to make it more clear, both of them actually. And let's see here. The first activity is the creating. Is it possible to create an expense form? The answer is yes. Is it possible to edit that form of the expenses? Of course, the answer is yes. So first you create expenses for certain employees, and later on you can add more to it, decrease it, make several types of edits on it. It's not possible to void or cancel in the expenses form. However, it's possible to delete that form of expenses. Printing also is available. Printing is very important. And here we have the designing and printing of activity, which is not available. It might be available in the near or far future, because this is not the fixed final features, since today's date is June 19, 2019, and we keep updating the software continuously. So any feature which you might see here as no might be changed back to yes, whether you're watching this, like for example, let me say 2 months, 3 months, a year from now. Notice here that in the date from and to, which is the starting date and the ending date of the expenses form, the answer is yes. Since it's contained in there, you can easily see when will the expenses form take place and when will it be ended. And here we have the date from, date to, regarding the same month. So here the answer is no, because it might not be possible for example to be finished in the same month. It might be in different months. Therefore, the answer here is no. Year from and year to is not applicable in here, because usually we're not talking about years, we're talking about a less number of months or less number of time. So basically, same thing for the release action. The release is used for, like for example, when we want to release the stopped salary, or in other activities of the HR. It's not used in the expenses form. Same thing applies to days and hours. So basically here, as you can see here, in the days and hours, this is not used for the expenses form. It's used for the leaves activity, for example, or the absence activity, not for the expenses. And as you can see here, the expenses does not depend on a specific % of the employee's salary. So whether it's let's say 100, 200, 1,000, the salary will not be affecting the expenses. it will simply not affect it. Same thing applies to the overtime, whether it's 1.25 or 1.50, they will not be used on the expenses form. Taxes exactly follow the same way, it's not used in the expenses form. Pension of the employees and the provision, the monthly provision, is also not used for the expenses form. So those are the first two categories we have covered here. Next, let's see the approval. So does the expenses form require approval? The answer here is yes, but it does not have the feature of being edited after it's approved. Like once it's approved, it's just approved, and you cannot void or delete that after approval. Notice here that we have a small note stating that the system is capable of allowing users to approve a group of activities rather than a single activity. So if you have a group of expenses to be approved, or a group of, for example, different types of activities required to be approved, this is possible. Same thing applied to the salary sheet. You can approve the salary sheet based on different positions, departments, employee names. Notice here that in the setup category, there isn't any setup for the expenses form, there isn't any previous setup, and there isn't any effective date as well. So it's unlike other types of activities, unlike leaves, unlike the other types, the expenses form does not require an effective date. And the status of employee at the time of creating an expense for them is active. They're always active. Active means that they're capable of being viewed in the software. They can be created in the salary sheet. Everything will pass by smoothly. However, inactivity means that they cannot be searched, filtered, the salary sheet cannot be created for them, activities cannot be created for them. So, but in this case, employee status is active. Notice here that there isn't any posting to accounting in the expenses form. So it's not posted to accounting. However, only at the time of payment it's used. And regarding the payment methods, notice here we have 3 different payment methods applicable on the expenses form, which could vary between them. It could be like cash payment, which is PV applicable, check payment, PV is also applicable, bank transfer payment voucher is also applicable. 3 ways are applicable, but updating the ledger is not applicable. And the salary sheet, the journal voucher, is also not applicable for the expenses form. Only the 3 different payment methods regarding the PV are applicable. And the debit side of the expenses form is debit employee expenses. Of course, like this is at the time of payment. All these things apply at the time of payment. And the salary status of employees the entire time is active. So both the employee status and the salary status is active. And notice here that the employee type, whether HR or timesheet employees, are capable of having expenses created for them. So it's not necessarily for an employee to be an HR or a timesheet employee to be having expenses for them. And although we have a web module and a mobile module, however, they are currently not containing any feature regarding creating expenses. As I said earlier in this video, that this might be like added in the future, but as of now, it's not in there. So this is regarding the expenses form. Now let's talk about the benefits. Let's talk about the benefits. First of all, the main difference you see here is that benefits basically have 3 different branches, unlike the expenses form, which is the main window without any further branches. It's like very straightforward. But regarding the benefits, we have 3 different branches. Basically, they are the benefits payment, the benefits provided, and here the benefits payment itself, not the settings of it. So first of all, you make sure that the setup of the set payments is there, and then you make sure that the set of the benefits provided is there, and then you actually proceed with the benefits payments. The main difference among payments and provided is that, for example, let's say scenario 1, is receiving a car or a house, rented house itself, like an actual rented house or an actual car. So this is different than receiving an amount, which will then, by this amount, allow you to rent a house or a car. So that is the main difference between the payment and when it's provided to you. Now let's go in depth into this. Regarding creating an activity, just like the expenses form, it is possible to create the set benefits payments. It's possible to create the set benefits provided and the benefits payment as well. Same thing applies to editing. You can edit both the set benefits payment and the set benefits provided, but not from the benefits payment. The main reason is that this will literally read from this. So it will be reading from the first column. That's why if you want to edit this, you edit from here, not from here. Regarding voiding, cancelling, and deleting, you have to make the amount 0 and change the stop date or to delete the setup from the top right box. So this is the way used to delete a benefit or to void or cancel, which is changing the amount, making it 0, changing the stop date, making it a different earlier date, and deleting the setup from the box, which is located at the top right. And regarding voiding or cancelling in the benefits provided, of course, the answer is no, because as we said, everything from the settings and related to settings is here, not here. Now let's move to printing. Of course, printing is available for the 3 of them. Printing the clearance is not available to any of them. It's not applicable. And of course, as you can see here, designing and printing the activity form is also not applicable. And having a predefined template importing or autofilling is also not there, since it is in the present time created, like benefits are created in the present time. Same thing applies to date from and date to. When creating or adding benefits to employees, you do not specify that. So here the answer is no at the time of settings, but at the time of creating or viewing an actual benefits payment, then the answer is yes. But in the settings here, the answer is no. And date from to, normally within the same month, is yes for all of them. The month from and to, year from and to, all these information here, the answer for them is no. They are not applicable. And releasing also is not, since it's used for other types of activities such as release a stopped salary. Days and hours are also not applicable since they're used for other activities such as absences or leaves. And the benefits form doesn't read or doesn't depend on the percent of employee's salary. So whatever an employee's salary is, it will not be affecting the benefits which will be paid or provided for them. Same thing applies to the overtime, whether it's 1.25 or 1.50. It will not be there for the benefits form since it's for like timesheets or other activities, not for the benefits form. And regarding the taxes, it will not be applicable or available regarding the benefits payments or benefits provided. Same thing applies to the monthly provision and to employee pension. It's not in there. It's not allowed for benefits form. Now let's see here regarding the approval. First of all, whether we are talking about setting the benefits payments provided or the benefits payments, here the first 2 are no and the third one is yes, mainly because benefits payments do have approval, but set benefits or set benefits provided or payments do not. And by default, editing after approval, the answer for it is no, since it is no in the first place. Notice here the main similarity between an expense form and a benefits payment is that they're both having an approval. Both of them are set as yes. There is approval by other users or other higher permissions which are set previously in the system from the user access list. And here let's talk about the setup category. Does this form, which is the benefits form, does it have a setup? The answer here is yes, which is from the set salary window. From there, from the set salary window, located in the manage employees menu, you can set the salary and add the benefits payments. And does it have an effective date? Of course, the answer is yes. This is highly unlike the expenses form, where here we talked about it and we said that both of them are displayed as no. And the main similarity also in the status category is that all of them are active. So whether you are creating an expense form or a benefits form for any employee, the status will always stay active, meaning that they will still be displayed in the system and you can still perform different activities on them, and you can create the salary sheet for them easily. And here, regarding the accounting effect category, notice here that only at the time of payment you can post to accounting, which is very similar to the expenses form, where it also said that only at the time of payment you can post to accounting. Now here, regarding the payment methods, notice that there isn't any cash payment, check payment, or bank transfer for setting the benefits payments are provided. There is only payments at the time of actually being in the benefits payments window. So whether we are talking about cash payment, check, or bank, they're all available for the benefits payments. However, updating to ledger is not applicable for any of them, just like the expenses form. And salary sheet, which is the journal voucher, is also not there for any of those three benefits form branches. So there isn't this salary sheet JV applicable for them. It's not allowed. And regarding the debit side, notice here that the benefits expenses is the debit side of the benefits form, of course at the time of payment. And just like the employee's status, the salary status as well is active for all of them, whether at the time of setting the benefits payments, or at the time of setting the benefits provided, or at the time of setting the benefits payments and actually using the benefits payments. So all of them will make the employee's salary status as active. The receipt voucher is not applicable for the benefits payments. This is regarding the collections. And here, whether we are talking about an HR employee or a timesheet employee, both of them will be able to have benefits created for them. So it doesn't depend on a specific employee type. And here, as you can see, although we have a web module and a mobile module of Hinawi Software, however, we cannot create benefits for employees from there. Benefits are set up and created from the desktop application only. However, as I said earlier, this is not fixed, it's not permanent, it might be changed in the future, whether near or far future, depending on the updates, since we are continuously updating the features of the software and the system. Now, let's go here and see that the salary sheet actually is in orange. I will make an entire video about the salary sheet, which will be discussed in very details, in depth, like fully explained. But I would like to mention in this video that the salary sheet is the output of everything that has been inserted, created, and put earlier in the system. So this is actually like a result, and everything you do earlier will be affecting the salary sheet, whether it contains approval or without approval, whether like whatever case we're talking about, it might have a very large possibility and a chance to affect the salary sheet. So you should keep in mind that the salary sheet is a very important process and a very important step which should be reached by the end of all activities and by the end of the month. And lastly, finally, I'm going to talk about the memo column here. It contains some very important rules and regulations and instructions which should be kept in mind always. For example, in the effective date, the user must make sure that you choose the correct effective date before saving because it will affect the salary sheet. Definitely, it is linked with many activities and indirectly affecting the salary sheet. And always read the pop-up messages on the screen before saving, since they are crucial. And always make sure, what is the employee's status? Is it active or inactive? And what is the salary status also of employees? And always make sure you do not break the rules, and it's like customers' responsibility to follow these rules. And always make sure to return from leaves in order to inform the system that you have returned, or like the employee has returned from leave. Same thing applies to loans. You can create multiple loans, but you have to make sure that you approve them to proceed successfully with the process. And this note is actually regarding the additions deductions part, which says that the main difference among being or creating automatic or manual in posting is that automatic will be posted to salary sheet automatically. Basically, additions deductions will automatically be posted there since it's automatic, and there isn't any approval required. But in case of not being automatic, in case of manual, approval is required in this case. And this will show us here that the calculation of annual leaves will be calculating in the following way, which says that the system will read the total due days from the joining date until the start date of the leave minus the total number of days which has been already taken before. And this occurs if the opening balance of the leave is not used. So this is the proper way of calculating the annual leaves balance. And in case, for example, of annual or like opening balance, the system will not take the joining date. It will only take the next day of the opening balance. So that is the proper way of calculation. And a very important point which should be taken into consideration is that most activities in the system, like majority of them, will require approval and before creating the salary sheet. So before you create the salary sheet, make sure you approve those activities who need approval, especially if they require immediate approval. And you cannot skip months in creating the salary sheet. Once you start creating the salary sheet, you proceed with it without going, for example, to a totally different month. And also, a very flexible feature is that the system can do partial approval of the salary sheet, for example, depending on different departments, positions, or employees. Also, keep in mind that once the payroll starts, it's actually like fixed from there and so on. You cannot change your mind into a different payroll starting date once it's started. And always make sure that you post to accounting after you approve the activities which require to be posted. And anything which requires to be paid must be paid from the HRMS activities menu itself, without going back and forth between the accounting menu and the HRMS menu. And here it's very important to keep in mind that payment cannot be split for the same employee. So you cannot have more than one type of payment for the same employee, but for different employees this is applicable. Now let's talk about the main difference between the stop or release salary and between, for example, a leave without pay. It says here that stopping or releasing the salary is used for being absent for 1 to 2 to 3 days, but leaving without pay is used when an employee is absent for like weeks or months instead. And notice here that in the absconded workers, this is used when there is official data that the employee is out of the country, they ran away basically. But it's not 100% sure where the location of employee is at when we're using the stop or release the salary. That is the main difference. So this is regarding today's video. I hope it was clear, easy, and that I delivered the points accurately. I hope it's clear the main difference between the expenses and the benefits, how they affect the salary sheet, and all these different content and points in the memo which I have covered. Please make sure you like this video, watch our other videos, and subscribe to our channel and share this video with everyone interested. Thank you.